My next guest is going to be back in action April 27th. Another big opportunity here. It is Austen Lane back here on the program. Austen, how are you?
James, man, I'm very casual right now. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I like casual. You know, this isn't like CNN or anything. We got to keep it nice and cool here.
Oh no, man, it's MMA. Of course, it's gonna be a little casual.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Before we talk about this fight and everything you're up to, I saw you linked up with Ruby Sports for representation. Tell me the story of how that all came together. Being with one of the best management groups in the world, they rep like Piotr Jan, Armin Saryukin, like a really top management group.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it came down to is, when you get to the UFC, it's a lot more on your plate, right? And I take pride in doing a lot of things myself, but making those phone calls, setting up those fights, getting airfare, the travel, the hotels, all that stuff. I'll be honest, I don't like doing that, man. So I knew of Ruby just in town from, they actually represent Preston Parsons.
That's right, yeah.
Kuba Kazuba as well. So a few guys that spoke very highly of them. I have a couple of friends that actually worked for the UFC that spoke very highly of them as well. So to me, it was a no-brainer. Obviously makes my life a lot easier. So yeah, I'm happy to work with, Steve Swedish is my main guy. And then obviously Ruby Sports Entertainment is basically the management team, you would say. And yeah, I've had nothing but good things to say about them. And at the end of the day, it just makes my life that much easier so I can focus on fighting and training.
Absolutely. And I just remember too, we got to meet briefly in January at UFC 297. Remember, I saw you, so you know that I'm not AI generated. I'm actually like a real person, right? So.
No, for real, man. I even told you, like, I was bummed we couldn't play
any video games. I know I didn't bring my system.
Video games or anything,
yeah, so you got to get on a Vegas. You got to get another Vegas card, and we'll link up. I was just at UFC 300, so there we go. But when did you find out about this fight? Because like I said, you got the new management. Was it shortly after that you got the fight? Like, take me through that process.
No, so actually it was a little before I actually got my management. I found out about the fight.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, basically Mick reached out to me, offered me the opponent. I knew of him, when the name came through in the text message. I thought it was a great matchup for me. This is a guy I'm fighting that's coming through Dana White's Contender Series as well. Is a pretty decorated striker. Obviously comes from a very high kickboxing pedigree. Has fought the who's who in kickboxing. And now he's coming over to MMA, and I plan to welcome him in the cage for his first UFC fight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup, and it's interesting you say that because I remember at one point you were the 6-0 guy, and now you're the guy that's the veteran and has had those experience too. So that's why this matchup's going to be really fun. Training camp, I know you have sort of your main gym over there in Florida, but I saw you training with Sean Strickland. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so Sean Strickland, he always comes to Jacksonville, comes through every once in a while. So we actually, Sean and I linked up. It would have been back in UFC 296, 290, whatever the one was, Australia, where he was on the main card with me with Justin Tafa, and then he fought Israel Adesanya. Right. And so we kind of linked up there a little bit. We rode the bus together from the hotel to the weigh-ins, and it was like an hour bus ride. So we had a lot of time to meet each other and talk a little bit. Kind of hit it off. Saw him once again in UFC 297 in Toronto. Then he was on that card as well.
Ah, that's right.
Talked to him just in a brief passing. So just a guy who came through Jacksonville, wanted to get some sparring in, and I was the guy for the job. And props to Sean Strickland, man, because obviously you kind of have a good idea of who this dude is, but it's not a facade, man. He's not putting on some kind of front. Dude literally just showed up, didn't have any gloves, didn't have a mouthpiece, didn't have any equipment whatsoever. He's like, can I borrow somebody's gear? Somebody gave him some gear, and then him and I ended up throwing down, and I think with Sean, when you spar, it may start out a little soft, but like, you know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of some of my coaches who's like, all right, stay long, focus on your technique. I mean, dude, by the third round, we're trying to knock each other silly because that's just that's what it is. But it was a good experience. I had a blast. That's like I said, he's always coming through Jacksonville. So hopefully he can come by again and get some more work. And obviously he offered, if I remember, in Vegas to stop by his gym as well and get some work.
There you go. What about back home? Who have been some of the main guys helping you get ready for this one?
Man, there's been a lot of guys this camp. James, I mean, I'll be honest. When you come off of a loss, you have to look at yourself and say, where did I go wrong? What can I do better? And what do I need going forward? And I think a lot of that was, in terms of looks I was getting, but also just in terms of the guys I surround myself with. So for this fight camp, I've had Preston Parsons has been there. Trey Waters has been there. Steven Koslow has been there. Kuba Kazuba has been there, and obviously, as I call him, my brother Ramon Taveras has been a big part of this camp as well. Alton Meeks is another guy, world class wrestler, fought for the PFL a little bit. So we've had a lot of big bodies, but had a lot of great minds that have been in the cage that can kind of bounce ideas off of a little bit, or that obviously give me advice and kind of help me have grown now in this fight camp.
As far as your corner, what will that look like going into this fight? Who's going to be in the cage with you?
Yeah, so for my corner for this fight, it's going to be Ramon Taveras, who's always in my corner when he can be. It's going to be Seth Dupuis, who's kind of a newer name, but does a lot of coaching for the other UFC fighters here from Jacksonville, holds the mitts and everything, and I've been utilizing him a lot more and coming up with a game plan, increasing my style a little bit, kind of throwing some nuances here that I can't wait to show off for my fight. So he'll be in my corner, and then Brian Brown, who is essentially my jiu-jitsu coach from 10 Planet, will also be in my corner.
Excellent. And how's this fight playing out? How do you see it going down on April 27th?
Man, you know what it is, James. I always give the prediction it's going to be beautiful violence, and that's where I expect this to go. Obviously my opponent's a very decorated striker. I think I'm a pretty good striker myself, but at the end of the day, I think he's a kickboxer coming into MMA to fight me, and I'm a day one fighter. So I think I have the advantage of taking this fight where it needs to go, where I feel comfortable with it to go. And I think from him, he's comfortable standing up. I think I'm comfortable everywhere. So wherever the fight has to go, I will take it there.
Okay, let's do some fun rapid fire questions here. Just whatever comes to mind. There's no wrong answers here. Favorite athlete outside of combat sports?
Favorite athlete, current or retired?
Either or.
Favorite athlete, of all time, you have to go the great one. You have to go the GOAT, Michael Jordan.
Favorite movie?
Reservoir Dogs.
Favorite actor or actress?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Favorite TV show?
Of all time, man, you put me on the spot. The favorite TV show of all time, Seinfeld.
Favorite comedian?
Bill Burr.
Favorite?
No, I take it back because I just listened to his podcast. But Dave Chappelle. Sorry, man, Dave Chappelle.
Okay. Favorite travel destination?
Home, back to Wisconsin.
Favorite animal?
Coyote.
Hidden talent?
I can play the saxophone.
Biggest pet peeve?
Oh man, I have so many of them. People who over-exaggerate.
Love it. I'll take that. We just had UFC 300 this past weekend. A lot of action there. Let's start though in the co-main event. Everyone's talking about the knockout Max Holloway. Just your reaction to seeing Holloway get that huge win over Gaethje.
Yeah, I had Holloway winning that fight. Insane fight, man. Insane fight for both of them. Obviously, you hate to see a loser there fighting for the BMF belt and everything, but you want to talk about the type of guy that Max Holloway is, to be up on the scorecards, to know that you're going to win that fight and you don't give a shit. You still stand in the middle of the octagon, point down and say, let's go. Unreal. And listen, I follow a lot of sports. I'm going to put that, it's got to be up there. I get Duke, Kentucky back in the day, Christian Laettner, but that's one of the greatest buzzer beaters of all time right there in any sport.
And what did you think of Pereira's knockout over Jamal Hill in the main event?
Very impressive. Alex Pereira, man, it's crazy. Everyone says, all right, watch out for that hook, watch out for that hook. And, it was almost a hybrid of a hook and an uppercut. And he really set that up from going to the body first, going to the body, and then came back up top. I think he gained some confidence. Jamal Hill landed that cross on him, and I don't think Pereira was really affected by it. Started walking him down a little more, and then once you get back to the cage, it's advantage Pereira. Definitely a great showcase of skills, a showcase of power, man. And he truly has the hand of God in that left hand, where if it touches you, you're going to sleep.
Back to you. Is this your second last fight in your deal, or what's sort of your contract right now with the UFC?
Yeah. So I have this fight, and then I have one more fight right now in my contract.
Gotcha. So I know obviously big fight because you go out there, win, you can renegotiate and all that stuff. And the thing with your division too is they need guys like you. They need, entertaining guys to put on cards. We've got a heavyweight fight coming up on that St. Louis card as an example. It seems like you see a lot of heavyweight main events is kind of what I'm getting at.
No, without a doubt. Especially I think it's really telling that UFC 300, the biggest card of the year, didn't have a heavyweight fight.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes in terms of people love watching heavyweights throw down because there's always going to be action. There's always going to be violence. And usually someone's going to go to sleep. So yeah, I think right now there is a lack of UFC heavyweights that can put on a show. And my plans is to go out there April 27th, do what I have to do, put on the show, get the dub, and then yeah, have me kind of earn some respect back, I think, in people's eyes, and make sure that hey, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here.
What'd you think of that OT winner last night in the Red Wings game? I'm sure you saw it first, even before the Lucas Raymond goal. How about Godsphere just jumping up like he's Yao Ming and grabs the puck and then takes it down? What'd you think of that? Because that was cool. Like, I'm not even like a big Red Wings guy, but I'm happy to see them still in this, right?
Man, first of all, I owe Lucas Raymond an apology because obviously, I mean, I've been following every single game,
oh, cool, season. Okay.
I've watched every game, and I may have been unfair to Lucas Raymond early on in the season,
okay,
but I can't deny him now. The guy's been an absolute tear, and that whole game last night against the Canadians, I mean, they hit like 3 posts, down by 1 with a minute left. You pull the goalie, and then Raymond gets it done. And then you go to overtime and essentially a must win, if you will. And then they score in overtime, and essentially they're still in the playoffs, and tonight's going to be the deciding factor. Can you beat Montreal back-to-back nights? Now they're traveling to Montreal, number 1. And number 2, can our friends in Philly help us out or help Detroit out and beat Washington? So a lot of things have to fall into place still for the Wings to go to the playoffs. It's been way too long since the Wings have been in the playoffs, I think 8 or 9 years now. And I just think hockey's better when the Wings are good. Whether you like them or you hate them, it's almost like they're kind of like the New York Yankees, where you got to have them in there, right? Because they're going to be polarizing. And with all due respect to the Vancouver Canucks, didn't see that shit happening at all.
No one did. We didn't in Vancouver either. Yeah, we didn't either. We didn't see it happening. It was a total shocker. Yeah. Like the narrative going into the season was, if everything goes well, we might make the playoffs. I mean, we might win the division still, like depending, like we have to play Calgary tonight. And then obviously like some stuff has to happen with some of the other teams, but it's a crazy thing going on in the West right now.
Yeah, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but like 1 or 2 years ago, you guys were ready to sell like the entire franchise, like new.
Last year we were. Last year, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, listen, it's kind of like the whole Steve Yzerman thing in Detroit, where you saw what he did in Tampa Bay, and then you're in Detroit, and you're trying to be patient building this roster, and you think, okay, is this the year? Is this the year? How much leeway can you give Steve Yzerman in building a roster? Well, they seem right at the cusp right now. If they get the job done, I'm going to buy into the Yzer plan. And it's kind of like in Vancouver as well, where it's like some of the moves you guys made, I didn't understand, but now it's like, can I really fault it that much?
Big one from your team. We got Hronek from you guys, and everyone was criticizing the move, but that's turned out to be like great for Quinn Hughes, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So there we go. And you're always a good interview too, man. I love that we can talk some hockey. It's very rare in this industry, so it's great, man. It's April 27th, UFC Fight Night. Austin, if there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors or anything you got going on that you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Oh man, thanks to my management company, obviously Ruby. If you're into sports talk, I have a sports show here in Jacksonville. It's Brent and Austin. You can check that on the Action Sports Jax app. And besides that, man, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff. Just type in my name, AUSTENLANE. You'll find me. Come say what's up, man. But besides that, James, always a pleasure. Always fun talking hockey with you, man. I'll see you down the road.